Hey everybody, Reale here at ebodyboarding.com headquarters, and I thought today we would go over the bicep leash and everything about it. So first of all, let's start with the very basics. What is a bicep leash? Well, a bicep leash, as I will show you in a couple minutes, goes up here near and around your bicep, and I'll show you why that's a benefit in a minute. But first, let's talk about the leash that many of you are familiar with. That's a wrist leash. So wrist leashes have been around since the beginning of bodyboarding. Most entry-level bodyboards come with a basic wrist leash, and most people are used to that feeling of having something around their wrist. And so this is usually where they start in bodyboarding, with the wrist leash. Wrist leash makes it easy to whip your board back to you if you lose your board. But here's the disadvantage of the wrist leash, and that is that every time you stick your hand in the water to paddle, you're dragging the strap and the cord through the water with you on every paddle stroke. So that is the reason bicep leashes came into the fray around the early 90s. Now I've used leg leashes. Some of you old schoolers out there still like the leg leash. I don't know how I ever used one back in the day. They would wrap around your ankles. They would create drag. I switched to a wrist leash pretty quickly. And then when bicep leashes came out, I switched to the bicep leash. I could never go back to a wrist leash. I just like the benefit of the bicep leash. And the benefit of the bicep leash is that it stays out of your way when you paddle, and I will explain that. So a bicep leash, this happens to be my size. They come in multiple sizes, and that depends on your arm size. We have Tribe and e-bodyboarding bicep leashes in small, medium, large, and extra large sizes. 4 sizes for all different size arms. So just to show you the difference, this is the small bicep leash for kids or people with smaller arms. And here's the extra large. You can see there's quite a difference in the circumference of that circle of these two leashes. So this is for the riders with the really big arms. This is the small arms, and we have the in-betweeners, the medium and the large. I happen to be a medium bicep leash. I'm not really packing the huge guns, and a medium fits me just fine. How do you know what size you are? Well, let's first talk about wearing a bicep leash. There's a couple different spots on your arm you can wear the leash. Some people like to wear it just above the elbow crease here, like right here at the base of the bicep. Some like to wear it above the bicep. That's like me. I've seen people wear it in the middle of the bicep. I don't recommend that because there's nothing to keep it from sliding off. You know, you need some sort of a stopping point. If it's in the middle here, there's nothing to stop it from sliding down. So I don't recommend that position, but it may work for some people. It just depends on your anatomy. Some people have arms that the muscle just gets bigger and just goes right into the shoulder. I don't. I have this sort of indent and then my bicep and another sort of indent. And for me, the bicep leash works really well up here, stays out of the way, doesn't irritate me at all. So let's talk about the placement for me. So you undo the strap on the bicep leash, and there's 2 ways to put it on. There's the strap out way, and there's the strap in way, okay? So this way, the strap in way, is going to be probably easier for most people to put on. So you slide it on, you make sure that swivel is positioned on the inside of your arm, and the reason being that it's going to be attached to the board right in front of your face. So you want the shortest distance from your arm to that leash plug, and that's with the swivel on the inside of your arm. So you get it into position, and you want to flex your arm at a 90-degree angle. This is really important because you need to make it very tight, and you need your arm to be flexed when you do that, and I'll show you why. So I crank that down nice and tight. I want it tight, and I start wrapping it around like that. And now it's tight, right? But you're not bodyboarding like that. You're bodyboarding with your arms relaxed. So once you release that tension on your bicep, it's snug and still very comfortable. Swivel's here, board is here. Now the reason I personally don't like to wear my bicep leash with this strap in when I put it on is because this ring tends to rub against my body. This is obviously only applying when I'm surfing without a wetsuit in the tropics. But there's the other element. If you have some of this Velcro, which will rub against your wetsuit and potentially rough it up. Not good for the wetsuit. So when I put my bicep leash on, I put it on with the strap facing outward. And I'll show you, same technique applies. You move the swivel to the inside of your arm. You pull down on that, bend your arm 90 degrees, lots of tension, and you wrap it. Once you get some Velcro contact, you can kind of let go and reach back over your arm and pull it nice and tight. Now, I don't have the issue with this rubbing on my wetsuit under here. I don't have that rubbing against my body. And the benefit I mentioned earlier of the bicep leash is when you paddle, you are not dragging the cord and the strap through the water with every paddle stroke, and it's out of the way when you're bodyboarding. So that's why bicep leashes came into bodyboarding so many years ago, and why they are still by far and away the best-selling type of bodyboard leash. So, which size to get, right? So here's the deal. You have to decide where you're going to wear the leash. And again, I recommend either there or there. I like it up here, but it depends again on the shape of your arm. And what you want to do is you want to measure the circumference of your arm at that point. So you'll need a tape measure optimally, or you could just get a piece of string and wrap it around that part of your arm and then stretch that string out and measure it against a yardstick or a ruler and see what that measurement is. And that'll be the circumference of your arm, and you'll be able to know what size bicep leash to get. All you got to do is click on the size chart link at the very top of our site, and there's information on which size bicep leash to get based on that circumference. So pretty easy tape measure. Again, don't forget to flex the arm at that 90-degree angle. Wrap it around and get that measurement. Mine happens to be right at that point, 12 inches. Again, I don't have big guns, but that's perfect for me to wear a medium bicep leash. Now, here's one kicker. If you're wearing a wetsuit, make sure to account for that. The thicker the wetsuit, the more you got to add. So a 3 mil wetsuit might add maybe, let's say, ½ an inch to your arm. A 5 mil wetsuit will add a whole inch to your arm. So make sure to account for that if you're frequently in a wetsuit, and you may need to go up a size if you're kind of right on the cusp. Also, read the description of each bicep leash. In some cases, there's some sizing differences with different brands, and that information will be in the particular description of that brand of bicep leash. So hopefully that answers all your questions. If it didn't, feel free to place a comment down below on this YouTube video, or just go to our website and you can live chat us or email us at orders@ebodyboarding.com, and we'll be happy to get back to you with those answers. Thanks for watching.